All right, so let's just dive right in. We're stepping into a story where the stakes couldn't be higher. We're talking failure means immediate spectacular decapitation.
Right.
It's a king's son on a quest, not for gold, but for a bride. And she's guarded by her mother, an old queen who is also this incredibly powerful sorceress.
And this is our deep dive into the six servants, and you've nailed that setup. The queen's power is all about the impossible task.
Yeah.
And it's already, claimed the lives of so many suitors.
Yeah, the story makes that very clear. Traditional princely skills like bravery or strength, they're a guaranteed path to death here.
Totally useless.
And the prince himself, he's such a contradiction right from the start. He's not this, robust hero. He's a man literally consumed by obsession.
It's an incredible detail.
Yeah.
He's been gravely ill for 7 years, just from hearing about her beauty.
7 years.
I mean, his illness wasn't medical, it was purely psychological. He was essentially choosing to die rather than live without her. But the moment his father says, okay, go, the sickness just vanishes.
He just stands up, instantly healthy and joyful.
And that transition from death's door to total health tells you everything. He's motivated by something so singular, so intense, that he's already operating outside of normal physical rules.
And if he's operating outside the rules, he needs a team that does the same.
Precisely. And his mission, which is what we're going to explore, requires skills that are hyper-specialized, I mean, almost absurdly so, to defeat this magical enemy.
So we're going to look at how these talents combine to achieve the impossible, but also, and I think this is key, why the story doesn't end with the big magic fight. It ends with this surprising psychological test of character.
Yes. So let's look at the team he puts together, because he's not looking for knights.
No. He's looking for people whose very existence just defies natural law. It's like building the ultimate, engineering team where each member has one single, impossible-sounding skill.
And he finds them right away on the road. The first is the stout one, Der Dick. The prince just finds him lying on the ground, and his belly looks like a small mountain.
A small mountain. And he claims he can get, 3,000 times fatter?
When he really stretches out, yes. And the prince immediately understands that this apparent flaw, his size, is actually his primary tool.
He sees the utility in it. Okay, so who's next?
Next up is the listener, Der Horcher. He's lying with his ear pressed right to the grass.
And he says he can hear everything in the world.
Everything? He even says he can hear the grass growing. This is more than just good hearing. It's instant global intelligence gathering.
And this is where the danger becomes real again. The prince asks what he hears from the queen's court, and the listener just reports hearing the sword beheading another suitor.
That's right. The swish of the sword.
Yeah.
That immediate confirmation of the stakes gets him hired on the spot.
Of course. So we have mass, we have intel. What's next?
Our third recruit is a long one, Der Lange. And when the prince first sees him, all he can see are his feet and legs. The rest of him just stretches out into the distance.
So he's impossibly long.
He claims he can become 3,000 times longer, even taller than the highest mountain on Earth. I mean, he's a walking, talking physics problem.
Okay, but with these kinds of impossible abilities, you also need control. You need precision. Which brings us to the sharpshooter.
The one with his eyes bound.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. He has to keep them bandaged because his gaze is so powerful that anything he properly looks at just springs apart.
So his vision is destructive, a total liability in normal life.
Exactly. But the prince sees it for what it is.
Yeah.
A precision demolition tool.
Okay, this team is getting stranger and stranger. Then we meet the walking anomaly, the frosty one.
They're frosties, yes.
Okay.
This guy is lying in the hot sunshine, shivering violently, complaining about how cold he is.
It makes no sense.
His whole nature is contrary. He explains the hotter it gets, the more he freezes. And the colder it is, the hotter he gets. He's basically an anti-thermodynamic person.
So the prince is building a team where weaknesses are actually strengths.
Exactly. And the last one they find is the clear-eyed one. He can see across all forests, all valleys, basically through the entire world. He's the reconnaissance satellite for the whole operation.
So the team is assembled, they arrive, and the queen is just delighted. She sees another victim.
She sets the terms. 3 impossible tasks. Fail one, you die. And they're designed to be, magically or scientifically impossible to solve with just normal heroism.
All right, let's break down that first test, the one that's geographically and physically just absurd. The queen demands he retrieve a ring she dropped into the Red Sea.
On purpose, of course.
Of course.
So the prince goes straight to his new team, and their synergy is just immediate. The clear-eyed one looks into the sea, locates the ring on a sharp stone, target acquired.
Okay, but that doesn't solve the giant body of water problem. That's where the stout one comes in.
He lies down, puts his mouth to the water, and just drinks. The text says the waves fell into his mouth as into an abyss. He drinks the entire Red Sea.
Okay, hang on. The entire Red Sea. He just consumes an entire sea. That volume of water is just, it's impossible. And he's not even done yet.
I know. It tells you his ability isn't really about eating. It's about impossible volume manipulation. So once the sea is gone, the problem isn't about water anymore.
It's just a distance problem.
Right. So the long one, who can stretch taller than any mountain, just bends down a little bit, as the story says, and plucks the ring from the now dry seabed.
The queen must have been stunned.
Astonished. But she has to concede. Round 1 goes to the prince.
All right, so on to challenge number 2. This one moves from geography to consumption, the feast of destruction.
The prince has to eat 300 fat oxen, including hide, hair, bones, and horns, and drink 300 barrels of wine. And if he leaves a single hair or a single drop, he's dead.
And he can only bring one guest.
Right. The test is about capacity, but also about completeness. The queen assumes there'll be a slip-up.
So he brings the stout one.
Who else? And the stout one just devours all 300 oxen so completely that he finishes and asks if that was just for breakfast. Then he drinks the wine straight from the barrels. Not a drop is left.
He makes sure to get the last drop off his fingernail.
Perfect. Total consumption. The queen is baffled now. She's lost 2 straight challenges that were supposed to be impossible, so she has to rely on pure magic for the third one.
Okay, challenge 3. The vigil and the abduction. He has to hold the princess until midnight without falling asleep.
And they set up a defense. The long one wraps himself around them in a circle. The stout one stands guard at the door. They're ready.
But the queen uses magic. At 11 o'clock, she casts a sleep spell over everyone, and the princess is just whisked away.
Gone. The prince wakes up at 11:45 in a total panic. He's failed with only 15 minutes left on the clock.
15 minutes, and she could be anywhere.
And it comes down to seconds. The listener quickly puts his ear to the ground and finds her. She's 300 hours away, weeping inside a rock.
300 hours, with 15 minutes to go. This is where the long one becomes. I mean, he's basically a teleporter.
He is. He grabs the sharpshooter, who's still blindfolded, and carries him. And the story says he reaches that distant rock in the blink of an eye.
So they're there, but she's inside a rock.
Right. So the long one takes off the sharpshooter's blindfold. The sharpshooter just looks at the rock, and poof, it explodes into 1,000 pieces.
Then the long one grabs the princess and the sharpshooter and is back in the room in another instant, all before the clock strikes 12.
Queen arrives precisely at midnight, ready to give the order, and she sees her daughter safe in his arms. She has to consent. She's just astonished and says, "There's one who can do more than I."
So, okay, the external conflict, the magic, it's all resolved. But the story's not over. The conflict shifts now from magic to pride.
Right. The queen tries one last bit of sabotage. She whispers to her daughter that it's a shame she has to marry common folk, and that just inflames the princess's own pride.
And she turns on the prince, which sets up this bizarre final test, not from the queen, but from the princess.
Yeah, she demands that one of them has to sit in a giant bonfire, 300 measures of wood, and survive. She assumes he'll fail, and she'll be free.
So who do they pick?
Well, they have a quick meeting, and since the frosty one hasn't had his turn yet, he's up.
He's the one who freezes when it's hot.
Exactly. So the fire burns for 3 straight days.
And when the flames die down.
He comes out, shaking like a leaf, complaining that he's never felt such a terrible frost. He says if it had lasted any longer, he would have been frozen stiff.
It's incredible. The very thing that should have killed him is what saved him.
But even after that, the queen won't give up. As the wedding party leaves, she sends an army after them. But the listener, of course, warns them.
So it's the stout one's turn again, and
he
spits out some of the red seawater he was still holding on to days later.
That's what it says. His internal state just defies time and physics. He spits out just a little bit of that water, and it creates a giant lake that drowns the whole army.
That's just wild.
And then the queen sends her armored rider.
So it's the sharpshooter's turn.
One last time. His blindfold comes off, he looks sharply at them,
Yeah.
and they just spring apart like glass.
Yeah.
And that's it. The victory is total.
And the servants, they just leave. Their work is done.
Exactly. They defeated the witch and her armies. But the prince realizes his partner, the princess, is still poisoned by her mother's pride and her own arrogance.
Which brings us to the most controversial part of this whole story, the swineherd twist.
It's a really challenging part of the tale.
Yeah.
Right before they get to his castle, he tells his new wife, I'm not a king's son, I'm a swineherd. And that man over there with the pigs, that's my father.
He orchestrates this complete social reversal. He has her royal clothes stolen, forces her into rags.
It's a moment of, you could say, calculated psychological cruelty. He makes her tend pigs for 8 days, making her believe this is her new life.
So why? Why does he have to take it that far? 8 days of real suffering.
I think the prince understood that magic and skill beat the queen, but only shared suffering could beat the princess's pride. Those 8 days are a kind of penance, echoing his own 7 years of lovesickness for her.
So he had to break down her overconfidence.
Until she believes she had earned this fate. He strips away her status entirely, forcing her to see herself as she sees, common folk. Only after she's genuinely suffered does he reveal the truth.
And he confronts her in his royal clothes and gives the reason for it all. I suffered so much for you. You also had to suffer for me.
It's all about establishing parity. He's not looking for a prize. He's looking for an equal partner who respects him for who he is, not his title. Someone who understands humility.
That is just a remarkable twist. So the core lessons here are, they're twofold. First, this incredible power of specialized skills working together. You don't need generalists. You need these hyper-specific experts.
Right. And second, that the internal battles are often much harder than the external ones. Defeating the witch took skill and magic, but defeating pride, that required calculated suffering to resolve. The prince's most brilliant move wasn't defeating the sorceress, it was curing his wife's arrogance.
Exactly. So here's the final thought for you to sort of chew on. The prince's biggest challenge wasn't the sorceress, it was the princess's pride. What does that tell you about the true requirements for a lasting relationship or partnership? Is it more about overcoming those huge external obstacles together, or is it fundamentally about ensuring you have internal parity and shared humility, even if that means confronting some really deep-seated character flaws?